Hello, everyone. I am Professor Geek. Welcome back to the channel, and welcome to the second installment of our Heir to the Empire, Star Wars Heir to the Empire book study. With me, as always, is my trusty TA, Big Al. Say hi, Al.
Hi, Al.
Still waiting for you to get a good Star Wars name like the Albo Sagans for the Tolkien book study.
I'll figure one out.
And speaking of Tolkien, the sad news today about Christopher Tolkien passing away.
I know. Talk about it. Talk about the keeper to the castle.
Yeah.
The keeper of the keys to the castle. I mean, he was always a little controversial.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. I mean, everybody's going to. He's not his dad, you know. So.
But I mean, we wouldn't have the rich, beautiful lore that we have today if it wasn't for him keeping it alive and digging into his father's
notes and everything.
And read putting out a couple of extra books stories we never would have had.
Yeah. I never did read any of his actual stuff that he wrote himself. I have The Children of Huron, but I have yet to read it. But yeah, no, he was a good keeper of the lore, like you said.
Yeah, I have it too. And there was the other one that just came out like a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember. I want to say Baron and Luthien, but I'm not sure if that was it or not. I might be mistaken.
Yeah. Sound Engravers, the Children of Huron. I think I pronounced it wrong. Yeah. Welcome to the chat, then. That's a good segue. Welcome, Sound Engraver, Paladin Demo, Green Lion Girl. Who else is here with us? Back to the drawing board. I like that. Alex Starr, welcome. Casey Scott, Madden Nui, welcome all. So I was hey, this guy named Big Al Presents is in the chat too. Screw that guy. Nanette, Janice Eel, I'll just scroll over the top. Welcome, Nanette. Don't know if you're still here, but great to see you in the chat.
Not only was I in there, it was sports talk.
Oh no! What is sports talk doing in my chat? You guys take your sports balls and your basketball fields and quarterbacking baseball stuff out of here.
When the prof's away, the chat will play.
Oh my goodness. So we're good to go here. We'll go ahead and jump right in a second. I won't wait quite as long as I did last time, but we got almost 20 people watching. If you could hit that thumbs up for me, that would be very much appreciated. So what was I going to say? Oh yeah, Nanette is still here. Welcome, Nanette. It helps. I'm not sport. Yeah, good. Sound Engraver's not a fan either. You're too creative. You're a musician. You can't be creative. Types can't play sports, right? That's just not fair. Like the universe wouldn't dole out, you're not allowed to be able to do everything, right? That's my take anyway. Green Lion Girl says at least it wasn't politics. Well, there you go. I'd rather sports than politics, I guess.
God forbid I share the one little bit of news about the XFL that I had Paladin Demo brought up.
What was it one time you were like, I don't even remember the name of the team, but you're like, yeah, the so-and-so's won. It was like, and I was like, is that, I don't even know what sport that is. Apparently it was hockey. Capitals, yeah, or something. I don't know.
Yeah, the Nationals just won. Yeah.
Those are some original names for teams, huh?
That's the one thing with DC. The one thing about DC a lot is that they'll choose a name that's kind of Washington-fied, and because they've had the Senators, and now they have the Nationals,
and Senators,
and they had the Diplomats at one point.
Oh my gosh, really?
Team. Yeah, which is why I always liked the Redskins, because that was out of there. And then when they had a USFL, they had the Washington Federals, who are an absolute terrible team.
I'm bored.
I know. And
this is worse than you guys talking Star Trek.
DC United was another one. But now we have the XFL, which is a new football league, and we have the DC Defenders, which is all right.
There you go. Welcome, Stephen Cruz. I see you popped in, and Troy Pacelli's here with us as well. So great.
Hi, Troy. Great.
Well, let's go ahead and dive in, shall we? 27 watching. So like I said, if you don't mind clicking that thumbs up, much appreciated. But this is our second installment. So last time we covered a basic intro to the book and where it is and what it means to the expanded universe and so forth, and what it was when it came out. And we covered the first 2 chapters. And I think we covered some decent, things that Zahn is really doing well here in the writing. And that's kind of the main crux of this book study, is really pulling out just, yes, Timothy Zahn is a skilled writer, so we're going to pull out what he does well, but also just pulling out how well and how right this was in terms of an approach to continue a franchise, a beloved franchise in a universe with pre-established characters and all of this, how to do that in a way that honors the characters, doesn't just, lob a bomb in the end of the, conclusion of what the audiences were left, these characters with. We'll get to specifics, and I'll be more specific about what I'm talking about as we go through these chapters. But we did read chapters 3 through 6, which seems like a lot, but those last 3 chapters were pretty short, so it wasn't too much to go through. As we delve into chapter 3, we finally meet our mysterious Mr. Talon Karrde, and we just found out about him in chapter 2. We remember that Han was on back in the cantina there on Tatooine, and or Mos Eisley cantina there, and he was trying to recruit some of the old smugglers that he used to run with to help the budding Republic, with its cargo needs and whatnot. And he asked who's running things now, since Jabba's obviously out of the loop. And what was his name? The guy that he talked? Dravis. Dravis was yeah. Dravis said that his money's probably on Talon Karrde, but he's kind of a mysterious character, so who can say for sure. And that's a great setup. Let's set up the character in this sort of mysterious fashion to be revealed in the next chapter. And in the next chapter, we are in Talon Karrde's perspective, so jumping right in. And what did you think of Talon Karrde, the character, as we got to know him through this chapter, Al?
Cool, calculating. I like how he handled the Star Destroyer situation.
Mm-hmm.
Just he seems he doesn't seem to be a hothead, which you know what I mean. How sometimes a writer will take a villain and they'll immediately make them like psychotic, crazy kill.
Mm-hmm.
Guy speaks funny and he kills him. But this guy is just like a guy. He's like, just doing this, and we got the Imperials. Okay, let's not panic.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I know we get to it later, but it's like, gets on the come. Hey, you guys need any help?
Yeah. Very cool and smooth. Welcome, Agent Boomer, too. As the channel members come in, I like to shout them out. And if anybody's interested in channel membership, the join button's below. Just throwing that out there. But yeah, so Talon Karrde, I like the way the words that you're using there to describe him. Cool, calculating, because a lot of these words we used to describe Thrawn in the last installment. So we see that Zahn is starting to set up a theme here, a theme of cool and calculating versus the more impetuous, the more passionate, the more hot-headed. And we've already sort of set him up. We'll see a lot more of this as we go through. But even in introducing Thrawn, you can't help but to compare him to the Sith his predecessors of the Sith as the main villains for the Star Wars universe. With the Emperor and Darth Vader and stuff, and how different Thrawn is. And now we see Karrde set up against Mara Jade in our first introduction to the character of Mara Jade. So if we won't give any spoilers or anything until the book reveals it to us. But, if you're just going through with us, like I was, just reading the expanded universe for the very first time, not knowing a lot about this or that, then this is your first introduction to Miss Mara Jade. Mm-hmm. It feels so funny talking about Mara Jade, the actual character now, because we've had Caffeinated Commentator in the chat who went by Mara Jade for so often. So it's like I'm talking about her. But no, the literal character Mara Jade here.
Yeah, and also if correct me if I'm wrong, they really don't give her a lot of description.
No, she's a mystery at this point. She's a mystery.
Yeah, the only thing we really know is that she has cat-like grace, which was, it's like, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, we know she's freaking gorgeous. The red hair, green eyes, and this cat-like grace. She's got a lot. She's very valuable to Talon Karrde. He's wanting to make her his second in command, obviously. And she obviously hates Luke Skywalker. That's another thing that's revealed in this chapter. So that's all we know about it thus far.
Professor, I really don't know about this whole thing. This sounds like a whole woke book. Putting a woman in such a position of power.
No, it's never been done. Not until Rey entered Star Wars, Al. This never happened. Not until Rey. So a couple of things I want to talk about the introduction here. So we're setting up this theme. We'll see it again here in the next chapter, but this theme of the calculating versus the more passionate, kind of hot-headed natures. So it's something that we're developing here. Whenever you see something like that brought up over and over again, it could either be that the writer is very underskilled and just is throwing the only thing they know in over again, but more likely, if it's something's been published like this, and it's obviously the Great Timothy Zahn, they're doing something on purpose. They're building a theme. And so as we go through a work, you want to start to ask yourself, okay, what is this book about? And ultimately, you can't really answer that until you finished it, doing an analysis. But, what is this a story about? And I don't mean about, the Republic versus the Empire and all that kind of stuff. I mean, in terms of the basic plots of the human psyche, is this a story about redemption or coming of age or whatever? And so we're starting to build with that a little bit with this idea of the calm, cool, and calculated versus the more passionate and hot-headed.
Yeah, Rita Snow in the chat was saying she thought Mara Jade wasn't introduced until book 2, but it's been a long time since she read it.
Yeah, no, she's right up here in chapter 3. She's and we'll talk about her in a second, but yeah, she's a great character. We have Talon Karrde here. One of the ways I love how Zahn introduces us to Karrde, he's setting up this feast, okay, this very elegant feast for Mara Jade, and we don't know anything. He hasn't stopped. He just jumped right into Karrde's perspective, right into Karrde's POV, and goes through here. So he didn't give us an information dump to begin with. Like Talon Karrde was the ruler of the smugglers on this and that, and now he's trying to get Mara Jade to be his second in command. So he set up this meal, but he doesn't tell us any of that. He jumps right in, which is what you should do. But that leaves the reader wondering certain things about him. Like, is he trying to seduce this woman, who's coming in to have this dinner with him or whatever? And look at what he does. So Mara Jade comes in first, and I love that the first thing we have is not really so much an interaction between him and Mara Jade, but an interaction between him and Drang, one of his what are they called? The Vornskers. And the Vornskers are these sort of like wolfish-like, dog-like kind of creatures, predators on the planet there that we'll learn more about later. But he's got 2 of them, domesticated as pets here. And he's talking to his pet. And he's dangling something. He's like, now you have to leave, okay? Or here's what you need to make you happy. Here, have part of the meal there, but you need to go there. Don't give me this. And as a setup to this interaction between him and Mara Jade, we see him dealing with one of his pets. And I think it's a subtle cue to the reader that this is the kind of interaction we're going to see with Mara Jade. Not in a abusive way or anything, or a mean-spirited way, but this is the kind of person Talon Karrde is, dealing with anybody. It's calm, cool, calculated, as Al said, and he's going to give them what they need or dangle what they need in order to get what he wants out of them. At the same time, you don't get the idea that he's. And well, you tell me, Al, because this is the first time I've read the book before. But I remember when I was first reading it, I didn't get the idea that Karrde is evil spirited. Like he's not, he doesn't have all of this plan just to stab Mara in the back one day or something, right?
No, it sounds like he wants to set up a genuine, I don't know, partnership is the right word, but that he needs someone talented enough and competent enough to kind of be a number 2.
Yeah.
And I think that's what he's generally looking for. I don't think he's looking to spy. It doesn't sound like he's wary of her or anything like that. He's just looking for a competent person to work with.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. That's because he sees the value in her. He sees her abilities and everything, and he wants to make sure that they're utilized to their full potential in his organization there.
Yeah, nowhere in this did I get any kind of a sexual come on or anything like that. It was all business.
Yeah. Paladin Demo, I don't know if this was in reference to something I said earlier, but he says there are force abilities that can augment physical body. Yoda fighting in 2 and 3 shows off the internal force abilities. I love that idea as someone who's sitting here with his cracked rib and old swollen, misshapen arthritic joints and everything. Yeah, give me some force abilities. Let me bounce around the room like Yoda, right, Al?
Yeah, I really can't sympathize with that at
all. As you go through their interactions back and forth here, there's something as a writer when you're going to have a conversation and you're going to show people talking. You need that because you need them to give information and talk about what's happening, what's going on. And there's a trope, and sometimes it can be a cliche, where you have sort of the boardroom meeting, where sometimes it's a contrivance. It feels like a contrivance just to get X amount of information out. So you say you set up a meeting in your story or whatever. But notice how Zahn keeps it fresh here. They're having this meal. And in the context of it already, Mara's wondering, what is he really after? And Karrde's trying to think about how he can get the most from her in his organization. So you got the tension of their motives and their interplay there. But then also he doesn't just go back and forth, dialogue tag to dialogue tag to dialogue tag. He throws in things to keep it interesting. Like 5.5, actually, he corrected her, but time has never been important to the universe's ability results. He's saying something there. She shrugged her red gold hair, shimmering with the movement. I've been lucky, she said. So you got her kind of preening. Lucky is certainly part of it, he agreed. On the other hand, blah, blah, blah. He turned back to the Brulaki, dished some onto his own plate. Then there's your talent for starshipping pilot, your ability, So he intersperses their dialogue with the actions of them actually eating. And that's not random, because just as Karrde is dishing out part of his plan and part of his conversation and part of his pitch to her, it correlates with him dishing out the food and so forth. So it's subtle, but it's that, you don't think of it reading through it like, oh, I see how he just took that food on his plate while he said that. You don't always think that on the consciously going through, but subconsciously it keeps it fresh. It keeps you seeing something to visualize as you're getting the information. It helps the reader when you're going to give a lot of exposition like this. And then I love I think this is really the selling point for Talon Karrde, when she was still suspicious. He could tell that from her eyes, suspicious that the offer was a smokescreen to mask some more personal request or demand on his part. You don't have to answer now, he told her. Think about it, or talk to some of the others who've been with the organization longer. He looked her straight in the eye. They'll tell you that I don't lie to my people. And that tells you right now he's a smuggler, and we're used to smugglers in Star Wars. We're used to Han being our lovable rogue who's got a sort of questionable morality when we first meet him and stuff like that. And that sets up Karrde here as a smuggler, not somebody who's on the law-abiding side or loyal to Republic or anything like that. But he's going to be loyal to his people, and that's a immediate cue for audience investment into his character. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I like the fact like, I don't lie to my people. Now, of course, the story in the book, I don't know if he is actually like that or just saying it, but it definitely would fit in with that honor among thieves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Trope. So
yeah,
we'll see how that works out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the consensus of the chat here too. Sound Engraver said Karrde is for his group. That's what I got out of the exchange. Yeah, exactly. He's loyal to this group, and that's what he's telling you. And as Al said, if you haven't read it thus far, you can only speculate. But this is what at least you're being told about the character thus far. Welcome, Muhammad too. So he just popped in, so welcome there. Now we get the call, as Al hinted at, we get the news that the Imperial starship, Star Destroyer, is coming into their orbit and sending out a shuttle and landing in the woods. And this kind of mirrors. Remember that when we met Thrawn in that first chapter, we established that he's very logical, he's rational, he's a great tactician, and then we got to see it in action with the forgetting the name of the Eloman. I'm pronouncing it wrong, I think. But anyway, that attack that was there, we got to see him really prove what a wonderful tactician he is in the maneuvers there and everything with that. Now we see Karrde proving it here. And it's, as you said, he does the unexpected and actually hailing them for all, and then letting them know that he knows certain things about them. He knows that Thrawn, Grand Admiral Thrawn, is the one associated or on the ship of the Chimera, and he knows these certain things, and he offers this aid and wants nothing in return. That's so it sets it up like, what is he playing at? It tells the reader he knows something I don't. So it sets him up more even strongly as this brilliant tactician in his own right. And it plays up some good tension already, because you already know that Thrawn is that already as a Grand Admiral. So this little smuggler there's a possibility for tension between the two of them at some point. And that's really good. And he plays a little bit of his hand there. Like I said, these kind of tactician, rational, calculating characters are basically detective archetypes, and detective archetypes need that go-between. And in this scene anyway, Mara's our go-between, because Mara's the one, like, why would you not ask for anything in return? Why wouldn't you do that? You need a character there to ask so that they have an opportunity to explain. And he says, we get to have our people watching them from the moment they sit down to the moment they lift off. That seems an adequate fee to me, which would make sense if you're a smuggler and you've got basically a arm of government, to some kind of government. They're coming into your territory. Let's keep a watch on them, And then we see a little bit of the struggle between the rational and the passionate with Mara when he's Skywalker's brought up, and Skywalker kind of tips the scale for her. He sees the hatred within her, and she has to consciously calm herself. Says, yes, Mara took another deep breath, closing her eyes, and when she opened them again, she was back to her usual cool self. Yes, well, and it finishes talking. That's so we see that theme, the rational versus the passionate, that struggle again more fully resolved there, and we'll see it even more with the chapters to come here. But tacticians versus force users basically is something we're seeing here, because if we juxtapose Thrawn as a tactician versus the old heads of the Empire who were force users, the Sith, and then you see Karrde, a tactician here. Maybe I'm giving something away about Mara Jade, but I'll just shut up. Anyway, force, we'll see this in the next chapter as well. So, anything you want to say about that chapter before we move on now?
I think you pretty much got it.
Okay.
Yeah, you definitely do see the nerve there that, when they talk about the Death Star and Vader and the Emperor, how it really tweaks her nerve.
Yeah. Casey Lurk says the wolves, the Vornsker, they're not coincidence either. Karrde is a wolf-like, loyal to his deadly practice. Yeah, the wolf packish. I mean, they're wolf-like, the Vornskers, so the pack animals, they're predators. It's a good definitely. So in chapter 4, we return to Thrawn, and you think about the level of attention that Zahn is giving all these characters. First off, we talked about in the last study how readers, Star Wars fans who are coming to these books, it's their first absolute furtherance of the adventures of Luke, Han, Leia, and all like that. So they're going to be most interested in spending time with those characters again, finding out what's going on. But he had to first establish a villain, and he did so, but he didn't belabor that chapter in chapter 1. And then he moved on to each of our main characters, Luke, Han, and Leia, and he gave us some good time with them to establish where they are. We'll talk more about that in a second, but he has to go ahead and flesh out his universe a little bit. So we got Talon, Karrde. We got that going on. It all relates back because Luke Skywalker enters into the conversation. And now we have to hear a furtherance of Thrawn. What is our main villain? We need to see some of this threat being built up and see some of this plan enacted. And that's what chapter 4 is, as Thrawn and, they're on the Chimera here, or they're actually on a shuttle going to the, what's the planet's name again? Merkur, right?
I thought it was Wayland.
Merkur was another. Okay. I'm sorry, I get the names mixed up. So this is the storehouse of the Emperor, and they're going to meet this mysterious guardian that the Emperor would have placed in true. I love the fact, like I said, when you've got a detective archetype and you need that Watson-like character, whether it's a hero or a villain, you need that Watson-like character as the go-between. And it doesn't strike you as absurd when you're reading it because, you're given to the story and you're into the flow and everything. But once you step back and you see what's going on here, Captain Pelion is our Watson-like character to Admiral Thrawn. And I even wrote in the margin of this first page of the chapter, shut up, Watson, because we have Captain Pelion here. Every little thing that Thrawn wants to do, Captain Pelion has to be like, I just don't see the reason why we need these this Islamari, these animals that can push away the Force. I just don't see the need for them. And we should have brought blasters. We should have brought this. And is the Guardian even there? And everything that the Watson character is worrying about is going to come to not, because the detective knows what he's doing and it's there to show competence for the detective. But when you step back and what's happening, you're like, maybe you should just shut your mouth because you're not really.
Well, he's kind of the voice, almost so he the voice of the reader, kind of like, well, why is he bringing it? Why is this going on?
And that's the role of the character, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, so I like that. I did forget to mention the Islamari, which we also hear about in the last chapter, and they're going to feature in this chapter here. And these are these sloth-like creatures. They've got fur and everything, and they're sort of sloth. I think is probably the best thing to kind of compare them to. Maybe sort of reptilian too. I've seen some artistic depictions. Alex Starr probably knows better about things, but they're described as having fur scales or something. So however you want to.
Yeah, it's fur-scaled salamander-like creature.
Yeah, and they're they need trees to survive, so they're attached to the trees, digging their claws into the trees and so forth. So they're not threatening, but we'll get to the reason why later in the book, but they've developed this ability to push back the force, to have this sort of force-free bubble around them. And I think this is a fascinating idea and plot point for the story. But I have known, and this is mainly this is older fans. These are usually older people who grew up with the original trilogy and just like they had their own ideas about what the universe should be. So anything that dares go against their ideas. And these are some of these people I respect deeply, but these are the people that hate the idea of a gray order or of Luke embracing any kind of balance between dark and light, because they just really like the idea of the Force, playing into their religious worldviews or something like that. Or they, and I've heard people hate the idea of the Islamari, an animal that could evolve to do anything at all with the Force, even if it's just to push it back, like the Islamari here. And I just, to coin a modern phrase, I just want to say, okay, boomer. I mean, that's just something like, okay, I get it that you had your own ideas back when you finished watching the series a couple of decades ago in the early 80s, but this is a thing now. You can be hung up on that and die out with the 2 or 3 other people that think that, or you can move along, because I don't see the problem with the Force is a real thing in the universe. I like that it's more mystical. I don't agree that, people try and make it so scientific, and you can have your arguments about the midichlorians and all this kind of stuff. But I just don't see the problem with an animal evolving to the point, they're not Force users. This isn't like a Jedi animal or anything. This is just a Jedi because of some sort of survival mechanism that Thrawn hints at. We'll find out what it is later. They've just evolved to be able to have a field of Force-free use around them. I don't think the problem is there. That's just like a deal breaker for some people. I don't get it.
And Troy is saying that it is pronounced Isalamiri.
Isalamiri. I always said Isalamiri.
Isalamiri. That's what he's saying. I don't know.
I'm not going to say it like that because I feel like it sounds stupid, but I will defer to your wisdom on it if that is the right way. But all right, so I just wanted to cover them and get through their existence. Is it a problem for you, Al, or did it strike you as weird? Or are you okay with it?
No, I'm just thinking about it. I really didn't give it too much thought. I just kind of accepted it.
Yeah.
Which is how I get through life. I just sometimes accept things. But it does, thinking about it it does make you wonder, how did that come about? Mm-hmm. Why? How did this? I mean, it just wouldn't happen for no reason. There should be, it's like, wow, I can push back the Force. Okay, good. There's no reason that that ability would die out because you wouldn't need it. So it just makes you wonder why.
Yeah, and we'll get more of an explanation later. I just don't want to give it away. But yeah, you're right. Yeah, we'll need some explanation of that. So definitely. So as they descend to the planet here, they're going to Mount Tantiss, which is this mountain storehouse where the Emperor has kept these things. And here in this chapter, you really see, if you're not getting the idea of the theme of the calculating and the tactical versus the more passionate Force using hothead or whatever, then you're not paying attention, because here we go with Thrawn versus this Joruus C'baoth, as he calls himself. And this is kind of a funny aside. Just as an aside here, it's not really the study, but I did, like I said, I met Timothy Zahn at this convention once, and I was the author guest at the convention as well. Obviously, a peon to the great Timothy Zahn, who was the real deal guest. I was just one of the other people there. But somehow we got put on a panel together, and there were other authors there too on the panel. But the panel was all about naming your characters. So for example, he was, and many people know Mara Jade. Mara means bitter. So he named Mara that. And then you also have Jade as jaded. We'll see that come to play in her character the more we learn about her. But somebody asked a question, and I forgot what it was, but I answered it talking about one of my own characters. in The Fall of Mithrisis, a character who I named Erosmas, Erosmas, and it was basically conflating the names Erasmus, who was a Catholic reformer back in the day, and then the god Eros, the Greek god Eros. So I conflated the two and it made him Erosmas. And Zahn said he's making his own point. He said, yeah, okay. So now Erosmas there, he said that's almost, it's getting close to the level of kind of too hard to pronounce for people. And then he made his own point. And I was sitting there thinking, as he's saying that, whatever, Joruus C'baoth. Of course I didn't say that because he's the great Timothy Zahn, and who am I? But I'm like, you're gonna tell me? But
I would have given you $1 to say that to him.
No, I never would have said that to him. I think so much of him. But it does, because this name and the pronunciation of the name is a plot point in the chapter. In the end, we find out that he's not the actual Dark Jedi Joruus C'baoth. He's the clone. And this is why he pronounces his name slightly different. Joruus C'baoth was the real deal Dark Jedi, and Joruus C'baoth is his kind of, way of understanding the pronunciation or whatever as he goes forth. But C'baoth is clearly unhinged, right?
He's a nutbag.
What are some of the actions in particular that clued you into that, Al?
You could. I just. Yeah, come back to that. Let's come back to that.
Well, I just wanted to point out
the term. Yeah, I'm trying to remember exactly.
Yeah,
it's just that overall impression that I got.
And that's good. It's a good impression. As I say some of this, it'll probably clip your memory there. But he leads them into the mountain in order to kill them. So obviously Thrawn's precaution of bringing this Lamari or Islamari, whatever what Troy says is pronounced, was valid, and it pushes. He tries to do the Force lightning on him, and it doesn't work. And this just grates on C'baoth. He can't handle it. So when he agrees to go talk with them, and as soon as they go somewhere to talk, I love it that he tries to use the Force lighting on him. The Guardian is dead. The old man snapped. The last word almost swallowed up by the crackle of more lightning. He tries it once, it doesn't work. So he's like, I'm gonna try it again. It's just like he's this is the opposite of being tactical and cunning and calculating, right? And then when go ahead.
And of course, all the once they finally get past that and they start when Thrawn tries to start wheeling and dealing, just him like, I already got that.
Yeah.
I don't need that. He's just like, well, okay.
Yeah.
It's just seemed to be a little whacked out.
Yeah.
So the Force lightning starts to come out. I'm like, okay, now I know who that like weird guy with the things coming out of his fingers are on the cover.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And he calls himself over and over again, I am a Jedi Master. I am a Jedi. Well, if you're a Jedi Master, you probably don't have to tell everybody you're a Jedi Master every 2 seconds, right? You get the idea that he's very concerned with pride, very concerned with this and that. And even when let's see, is it when the guy tries to kill Thrawn for destroying his house, and Thrawn has Rook, his oh shoot, I'm blanking on the name. His what's the name of the Rook's race? Sorry, it's a brain fart. It's around the tip of my tongue, but I can't.
I'd have to look back.
Somebody will see it in the chat. Anyway, he gets his Rook to try and kill this guy, and C'baoth stops him. And you even see right away Thrawn himself almost has a moment of how dare you stop me from exacting punishment as a ruler of the Empire. But Thrawn checks himself. Thrawn says, no, you're right. Forgive me. This is your place or whatever. The Nogri, that's what they're called. Nogri. Yeah. Thank you. Thrawn knows. Thrawn gets a read on C'baoth that he is all about his pride. He's all about his ego. So Thrawn reads him, and as soon as Thrawn realizes that, then Thrawn can control him. Then Thrawn can offer him the right stuff. So initially all C'baoth is interested in, even in keeping them around, is to find out, how did you repel my attack? How did you defeat my attack? And the way he says it too, how did you defeat my attack? It's like, well, they're not there to defeat you at all. They're there to use you, but you they had to deflect this attack. So that's all he can care about at first, is how they were able to thwart his power, right? And then when Thrawn is offering him, Thrawn is a big picture thinker. Thrawn is offering him billions of lives and control over millions of planets. This is the tactician, a natural thought the tactical villain anyway would think about. The bigger the better. And C'baoth is more interested. Do you remember what he's more interested in rather than having billions of lives, Al?
Oh, he wants Skywalker.
Yeah, ultimately he wants Skywalker. That's how he hinges him in the end. But at the first he says, no, why would I want billions of lives? Because I already rule here in a more intimate fashion.
Yeah, I hear you say, because it actually makes sense. You always get these guys, oh, I want world domination or universal domination. It's like, God, I would think a planet would be enough. Yeah.
And it's,
I mean, come on, you like overreach a little bit. Look what happened to the Empire.
Thanks to Stephen Cruz for the $2 super chat. Show some love to the Prof and hit that thumbs up, homies. I agree. Thank you, Stephen Cruz, and it's echoed by the great Troy Pacelli here. Show some love to the Prof with the super chat. Super chats, thumbs up. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. But so Joruus wants the more intimate control face to face. And he's even described his intimate control there. And you think about why that is. If he's so driven by pride and ego, that's because he wants to not know that he rules that planet from a starship. He wants the literal face-to-face worship, the face-to-face confirmation of his great glory by these people bowing to him and, doing his bidding and stuff like that. So,
because when there's one part is like, why would I don't know if it's this part or not, but it was something about why would I worry about, like, if you conquer a planet and then you go off? I mean, what's the point?
Exactly.
If you're not even looking over that planet. I mean, here, I'm here. Everyone I rule is here. All I need is here.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about all these hundreds of other systems and what they're up to.
Well, the downside of that, though, of course, is that if you only rule that one planet can be taken away from you.
True.
And then you don't. So Thrawn's just the bigger picture kind of guy here. And we see this, Thrawn's going up against C'baoth's ego. And welcome, RT Bear. Welcome, buddy Lord. Welcome. Thrawn is going up against ego, and we even see this a little bit in Captain Pelion. Once Thrawn reveals what he wants C'baoth to do for him, and it's basically battle meditation, Jedi battle meditation, which is my girl Bastila's thing in Knights of the Old Republic.
But I like what they were. I like that exchange when they're talking about when Thrawn was telling C'baoth what he wanted and how Pelion reacted.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I just thought it was very interesting how Pelion, the grand old soldier, the fighting man, who relied on training and experience and everything like that, hated the idea that it was the emperor that was kind of almost like this focus that was helping everyone.
Was the emperor's, not his.
That he was putting the fire in everybody, and he was kind of helping them focus to their duty and kind of setting out I like I said, it was almost like the Imperial fleet was a puppet.
Yeah.
And Pelion, I like the fact that Pelion hated that idea.
Yeah, exactly. This is Pelion he's a veteran, right? He's somebody that's given his life to this one cause or this one thing. And this is a real deal psychology thing. I mean, if you talk to somebody, let's say, who really sacrificed a lot, they're a veteran in a war or their relatives were or whatever, they're going to be less likely to be able to, not everyone, but they're going to be less likely at least to be able to stomach any sort of criticisms about, valid or otherwise, criticisms about, the war cause or something like that. That's a common thing. I want to read this exchange because it's so good. And it gets at the theme here of the rational versus the ego, whether it's Thrawn and C'baoth or Thrawn and Pelion, even in this little scene you just greatly described there, Al. Pelion, he's kind of bouncing up against C'baoth, says, "My gunners could destroy this city without even singeing the grass on Mount Tantiss." Pelion retorted, "If you need a demonstration, peace, Captain." Thrawn cut him off calmly. "So it's the personal face-to-face sort of power you prefer, Master C'baoth." "Yes, I can certainly understand that." Now Thrawn gets it. Now Thrawn knows how he can control C'baoth. Not that there can be much challenge left in it, not anymore. Of course, he added, reflectively glancing out of the window. "That may be the whole idea, I expect, that even Jedi Masters eventually get too old to be interested in anything except to sit out in the sun." C'baoth's forehead darkened. "Have a care, Grand Admiral Thrawn," he warned, "or perhaps I'll seek challenge in your direction." So Thrawn is baiting him a little bit in order to, before he drops the goods in front of him here. "That would hardly be a challenge for a man of your skill and power," Thrawn countered. So he baited him, and then he threw him an assuaging sort of ego stroke there. And he says, "But then you probably already have other Jedi here under your command." I love that. Like, if you don't want other Jedi to command, then don't worry about me. And so C'baoth frowned, "Other Jedi?" So he hooked the line. He hooked it.
Kind of like a squirrel.
Exactly. And that's what because if he has two Jedi, this is a challenge on the one hand. It's also a worthier servant to have. Just regular people to C'baoth, these are non-force users. These are just, cattle. But if he had Jedi that he could make out of his, own, into his own image, basically, it's a god complex that he's absolutely looking for here. So that's the ego there. But then back to the Pelion thing that we were talking about there. I think I skipped over that scene. I had it marked. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. The Emperor was not directing the battle. Pelion snapped with a fire that startled him. That's what you were talking about there, Al.
Yeah.
And like it startles even Pelion saying that. Like Pelion doesn't even know he's being that snappish to his superior. "Not in any way. I was there, Admiral. I know." That's so real. "Yes, Captain, you were there," Thrawn said, his voice abruptly hard. "And it's time you gave up your blindfold and faced the truth. No matter how bitter you find it, you had no real fighting spirit of your own anymore. None of you in the Imperial fleet did. It was the Emperor's will that drove you, the Emperor's mind that provided you with strength and resolve and efficiency. You were as dependent on the presence as if you were all Borg implanted into a combat computer." "That's not true," Pelion shot back, stomach twisting painfully within him, because this is getting at his very core of his, self-worth here. "It can't be. We fought on after his death." "Yes," Thrawn said, his voice quiet and contemptuous. "You fought on like cadets." C'baoth, yeah, I know, right? I mean, that's like twisting the knife. C'baoth snorted. "So this is what you want from me, Grand Admiral Thrawn, to turn your ships into puppets for you?" "Not at all, Master C'baoth," Thrawn told him, his voice perfectly calm again. "My analogy with combat Borg implants was a carefully considered one." Again, all carefully considered. He's not firing off, in passion or anger. The Emperor's fatal error was in seeking to control the entire Imperial fleet personally, as completely and constantly as possible. That, over the long run, is what did the damage. My wish is merely to have you enhance the coordination between ships and task forces, and so forth. So that's what he's going at there. And we get dangles the Jedi in front of him, so he gets C'baoth on board. And then at the end of the chapter, we have Pelion coming in to talk to Thrawn back on the Chimera, telling him that, "I don't know if this guy is such a good idea. Is this really such a great thing that we should be doing right now? Having this guy in here." And this is when Thrawn again, it's a perfect example. It's the Watson character coming up again, second guessing what the detective is doing, so that Thrawn can describe to us, tell us about the real Joruus C'baoth, and tell us about, how this one's a clone and so forth, and the nature of clones. These would have been one of the first wave of clones who were highly unstable and, reckless, and as we've seen C'baoth act here. And he also drops a bit of, just for some EU knowledge, of course he's not sane, Thrawn said. "He's not Joruus C'baoth either." Pelion felt his mouth fall open. "What?" "Joruus C'baoth is dead," Thrawn said. "He was one of the 6 Jedi Masters aboard the Old Republic's Outbound Flight project." And this is a reference to another book that Zahn would go on to write called Outbound Flight, which tells the story of these Jedi Masters and the original Joruus C'baoth, and Obi-Wan and Anakin his Padawan are even characters in it. It's a really good book. I heard rumors Pelion found some sort of grand effort to extend the Old blah, 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 blah. So kind of giving you a tease for the book there. "Who is it we brought aboard the Chimera then?" Thrawn finished the question for him. "I should have thought that obvious. Joruus C'baoth," note the telltale mispronunciation of the name, Joruus, is a clone. And then we get the idea how clones. And then down at the end here, this ties the whole theme together. Would you rather have brought back a full-fledged Dark Jedi, Thrawn asked coldly, a second Darth Vader, perhaps, with the sort of ambitions and power that might easily lead him to take over your ship? Count your blessings, Captain. So again, this idea of setting up Thrawn as our new kind of villain here versus the Sith and the passionate and the given to the dark side of the Force, ambitious and so forth.
It's almost like they're setting up another Emperor Vader relationship. Although both Emperor and Vader were Force users, now you have Thrawn, who is the brains basically, and then you have Joruus C'baoth, who is
the quote unquote brawn.
The brawn. I don't want it's hard to call an old man the brawn of the operation.
The power anyway, though. Yeah.
The power. But yeah, that's that. I just thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
That they're setting up that duality. Mm-hmm. It's almost like you throw in Pelion, now you have your Trinity.
Yeah. You got all the tension that accounts for as well. The tension that's going to be there. You can see that between Thrawn and C'baoth on the ship. We already saw the little the psychological, pissing match, for lack of a better term, that they constantly had to do on Wayland there, and now they're going to have to keep doing it on the ship here. So it sets up good tension to come.
But I'm going to ask this because I don't know, and if Joruus C'baoth is on this planet, a Force, basically he's the Jedi, he has powers of the Force. Would the Emperor have been aware of him? Or was he the guardian of the place? But
what Joruus tells us is that he came later to kill the Guardian.
Right. And I was just wondering if the Emperor or Vader knew about this guy, because if they did, would they really want this guy alive?
It's a mystery at this point. You're right, but at the same time, they might have had to know if he was made into a clone anyway. So one of these test subjects or something like that at this early stage, because this is before the Clone Wars, when they're just trying to test the cloning capabilities out. But yeah, it's a mystery at this point. But it's a good question. It is something you're supposed to kind of ponder a little bit about what the specifics are about his creation and so forth, and we'll get to know a little bit more by the end of the trilogy. But it is something.
Because not only is he there, but he's on the same planet as the Emperor's secret goodie vault.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So we move on to the next chapter then, and this is back to our main characters. So it's a perfect amount of time. We do need to get back to our main characters, and we've been away from them for 2 chapters, necessarily so to get the story rolling. But the audience is going to want to return to their heroes, and this is another lesson here in how to revisit beloved characters and who people are very happy with the way they were left. Right at the end of that Battle of Endor, at the end of Return of the Jedi, everything's good. The heroes have won. They're all happy together. They've been through so much, so they're bonded together. And we've got the romance between Han and Leia, of course, established, and Luke and Leia know about their siblings now and stuff. So all that was good. Now, a lesser writer, because obviously you can't just have a story where you're just not messing with that setup, and you're not throwing any tension, and you're not poking any prodding or that relationship. A story needs conflict, a story needs things to overcome. So a lesser writer, knowing that basic truth, just would lob a bomb into all of that. And this is what you have, enter the beginning of the Disney sequel trilogy. Han and Leia are broken up, and Luke's gone off as a hermit, and all this stuff. Obviously there's a much more of a time period passing there, but you can't do that to your audience either. You've got to be more skilled and more subtle. So I love the way Zahn does this. All of our heroes are still together. Their bonds are still in place, but there's tension within this budding republic. And the tension there immediately in chapter 5 is between Admiral Akbar, the old school military mind, and, these diplomats in the room, and Mon Mothma, our great character from The Return of Jedi. Troy was talking about her when we did a rewatch, is trying to hold sway over all of these politicians, basically. And then you enter, who said it? Enter the Borsk. Back to the drawing board. Phalia, Borsk Phalia. Oh, I hate this character. I hate him with the passion. And even from the beginning, like it's set up to be unlikable, right? Did you get that sense too, Al?
I didn't like that guy.
I like his little he's this alien in Possible. Phalia's violet eyes widened. The fine cream-colored fur covering his body rippled slightly with the motion. It was a Bothan gesture of polite surprise, one which Phalia seemed to use a lot. Well, that's such a disingenuous, and sincere, like, what? Kind of mannerism that he does over and over and over again. You can tell this guy's trying to play at something. He wants something, and so just right from the setup, throwing a politician like that into the room, just we've got tension. Not everything is roses and sunshine with the New Republic. They've got their own trials to overcome, their own infighting and stuff.
Yeah, that Akbar did not like Han's little idea either. So
yeah, and we'll find out why there's a little bit of a tension between Akbar and Han, later, but it all makes sense. And that's the right measure of tension and conflict to bring about. You don't say, yeah, well, it didn't work out between Han and Leia, and you don't just throw a bomb like that into it. People still like the characters the way they were left, but you have to give them something to overcome now, and that's done quite well. We also have the idea of poor Leia, trying to balance being trained as a Jedi by Luke at the same time being called on for her diplomatic skills so much in this New Republic. Mon Mothma is very dependent on her. It's an interesting
and carrying twins.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, talk about a badass female character. Pregnant with freaking twins, dealing with the diplomacy of a new government and and Jedi training all on top of that. Yeah, she's talking about a great character. It's an interesting thought study here, though, to juxtapose, and this is maybe something we can kind of build on as we go through. Juxtapose Mon Mothma, her character, her personality, and her tactics in ruling with Grand Admiral Thrawn, because Mon Mothma is not somebody who seeks absolute control, and she's very cognizant of her need to rely on the skills of others and the leadership skills of others. She delegates to Leia in a way that Thrawn doesn't delegate to C'baoth. So, Thrawn knows he needs C'baoth and what he can do for him, but he dangles something in front of him so that he can control him. Mon Mothma knows she needs Leia's diplomatic skills, for example, so she relies on her and trusts her acquiescence to the greater cause. So you've got a very light side versus dark side here in terms of ruling methods, and I think that's a good juxtaposition to set up in the book too, even if you don't consciously pull it out in your first read through.
Yeah, and it's I also found it interesting that they do mention just how the pressure, all the pressure and stuff on Mothma, it's kind of prematurely aging her a little bit.
Yeah. Her
she's got a lot on her plate.
Yeah. It said something like her skinny, not slender neck. Like, she basically really is looking the stress is telling on her body. Yeah. As it would.
The thinness rather than the slenderness of her
neck.
You go.
Yeah.
She'd aged a lot since he'd first met her back when the Alliance was trying to find a way out from under the shadow of the Empire's second Death Star.
Yeah. And again, it's a way to give us information and give us exposition here about the situation by having characters react to it. Don't just have a omniscient narrator drop in the information from above, but have the characters react. So, for example, Leia didn't get a chance to tell Han that they're supposed to go to visit the BIMs for a Republic diplomatic mission. And yes, Leia nodded, throwing an apologetic look at Han. I'm sorry, Han. I didn't get a chance to tell you. The BIMs sent a message yesterday asking that Luke be there with me for the talks. They did, huh? A year ago, Han reflected, he would probably have been furious at having a painstakingly crafted schedule flipped at the last minute like this. Leia's diplomatic patience must be starting to rub off on him. That's a great little subtle way of establishing that, yeah, they've been through some stuff in between these books, and Han, even though he's still got our lovable rogue-like nature to him, he's more loyal to the Republic. We established that in Chapter 3, but also he's, some of the edges have softened a little bit. Leia's able to kind of, and that makes sense.
She's rubbing off on him.
Yeah, exactly.
Just that, like I said, just as I said.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it also gives the information there. Yeah, I'd heard that, Han said, trying not to be too sarcastic. He had no particular quarrel with Luke's position in the New Republic's pantheon of heroes. The kid had certainly earned it. Good, established that they're still good, they're solid there. But if having Jedi around to brag about was so important to Mon Mothma, then she ought to be letting Leia get on with her own studies instead of foisting all this extra diplomatic work on her. So again, it's a good way for Han to react to give us that information rather than just dropping it in, all there.
But that would be, I mean, and right here, and just from and of course it's bared out, but borrowing from Admiral Akbar, it's a trap. I would figure, having an invite and having all the greatest heroes from the Battle of Endor showing up at the same place, I'd be a little nervous about that, especially when you're still a young government trying to establish yourself.
Sure, yeah. Welcome to Exact Change Only. Haven't seen you around in a while, Echo. Welcome back. Go to the end of the office hours last Tuesday. I talked about I don't think I have the emotional energy to talk about my experience with KOTOR anymore this time around. But yeah, I talked about that, and I have started KOTOR too, and I'm having great fun with it all. Yeah. Still miss Bastila. So we move on to chapter 6 here, and the important thing is we're staying with our heroes. Thus far, we've been bouncing around, right? When we did start to meet the heroes, first we met with Leia, then we met our Luke, and then we met with Leia, and then we met with Han. Now we got them all three together here in chapter 6, and we're staying with them, and that's good. We've established enough of the threats, we've established enough of the things that are coming about. We know, for example, that Thrawn has launched a scheme to capture Luke and Leia. That was mentioned at the end of that chapter there when he's talking to Pelion. So we know that something's coming, with that. But now we're going to go ahead and follow our heroes there onto this diplomatic mission here to the Bims. I forget the name of the planet.
Bimisari.
Bimisari. Yeah. So I also love these little moments. Again, they're bonded together, but you still see the little relationships thing. So you'll do fine, Luke said from beside her, talking to Leia mentally, basically, or responding to her, reaching over to squeeze her arm. Han half turned. I wish you two wouldn't do that, he complained. It's like listening to half a conversation. Sorry, Luke, apologize. It makes perfect sense. The husband, would you guys quit mentally talking so I can hear what's going on? We get a little bit of Chewie. Chewie doesn't want to be fawned over anymore. Poor Chewie, tired of that hero's welcome and everything. And wanting to stay on the ship.
And just a real quick thing, I love how they describe Chewie's language. Where Leia strained her ears as Chewie growled out a curt reply. Even after all these years, she still couldn't understand him nearly as well as Han could.
Yeah.
A subtle level of harmonics in the Wookiee's voice, apparently, that she had trouble picking up.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that's kind of, you never really think about how the growls and everything might be translated.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like the idea of a harmonic to the.
Yeah.
You just hear, that growl. You're so used to that.
All the different little things mean different things.
Well, it's kind of like Chinese or Japanese even, but I know like for Chinese language, one syllable can mean different things depending on the stress of the accent that you place on the syllable.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, different languages, there's all kind of possibilities and capabilities for writers when you're dealing with alien languages and so forth. So it's nice. So this is a kind of a short-lived chapter, but it sets us up here. They're on this diplomatic mission. We do see, I think, which is good, is some of the distrust. Like we see Han still his smuggler nature, his roguish nature, his all of the instincts he had from way back when we first met him in the New Hope. That's still within him and saves him, right? He's going to use those to be cautious and to stay with Leia, when they try to break them up, and stuff later. Luke goes off to see this other part, but Han's determined to stay with Leia. He doesn't like leaving his weapon. He's got the comm link on his collar, so he can try. So you see his instincts still play out, even though he's kind of a fish out of water in this new world of building a government and going all legit and stuff like that. We still need his particular skill set, and that's a nice thing to establish here as he protects Leia from this Nogri assault because they're trying to capture Luke and Leia. This is what Thrawn was talking about. So we've got the little hints, too. So somehow somebody was in on this. Bimasari with the negotiator being ill, so to speak, and then them having to stay there and them trying to split them up and so forth. And it ends this chapter. If you haven't read ahead, this ends with a pretty bad cliffhanger. I mean, this is not bad as in poorly constructed, but a gripping cliffhanger. You've got the Nogri about to be upon Han and Leia. They've got them at their mercy. They've got the sticks. What are they called? The sticks that spray the stun juice or whatever. Checking, I forgot to underline it. Anyway, they're about to come down on Han, 3PO, and Leia, and then the last thing we hear is Leia saying, "No, they've got Luke. Yeah. They're already upon him."
Sorry, I missed the last 30 seconds. My thing dumped out.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, that's
sorry,
okay.
I have no idea what you said.
I'm just coming to the end of the chapter. The Stokely sticks. That's right. How it's a cliffhanger, and Luke and Leia saying, "No, they're upon Luke as well." Now, if you don't know, let's say you haven't read ahead and you haven't read the book before, think about just coming into the story to this point and ask yourself, okay, with the skill that we've seen Zahn portrayed thus far and crafting this story thus far here to the end of chapter 6, would it make sense for Han, Luke, and Leia and all of our heroes to be captured? Like you've told us, okay, there's this plot to capture them and take them to C'baoth. Would it make sense for then you just to see the plot succeed?
No.
Yeah, right. No, I mean you can kind of know that you can kind of get that even before you. And I'm not giving away anything that happens in the next chapter in case anybody here or listening to a replay or whatever is reading along and not going ahead with these things. But
it'd be a 100-page book in the end of the EU.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's that right there. But even to have them captured and then sort of escape later or something like that, it wouldn't. Even though you're dealing with characters that people already know, most fans and most readers already have a relationship with these characters, you still do have to honor the story itself that you're writing, and that means that you need to establish competence for your main heroes. Mm-hmm. So this is the first time we're really going to see these characters deal with a violent enemy. We haven't seen that yet. Thus far, we've seen them deal with the tensions and their backstory and the things going on in the Republic. But now for the first time, you're going to put them up against an enemy. If the Nogri just capture them easily or capture them at all on some level, then that wouldn't really be establishing competence very well. So that can kind of tell you or point you toward what's really going to happen in the next chapter. You need to, even though it's characters we've known for a while, in this story, we need to establish their competence anew. And that's what we're going to do with that next chapter. So try not to give too much away there, but that's just where we're going. You can kind of, once you kind of get a read on how skilled an author is, you can kind of anticipate things to come like that as you're going through, which is a really cool aspect of analyzing as you read.
Yeah, those Stokely sticks sound nasty.
Yeah, don't they? Spraying that juice or whatever. Yeah,
200 meters with enough shock stun juice to take down a good sized Gundark.
Yeah. Not cool at all. Yeah, that would be something to be wary of. So, did you have anything else about the chapter there, or any of the things we talked about the chapters thus far? Because that's the end of our reading for the night.
No, but it was a good. I like I said, it was a good, nice little cliffhanger to end on.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, they've got him too.
Yeah,
because it's bringing in that psychic connection that Leia and Luke have. I mean, because they eventually they hinted at it in Return of the Jedi, and they've had 5 years to work on it.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they're pretty in tune with each other.
Yeah, exactly. I do like that 3PO still gets on Han's nerves, though. You got to keep little things like that, right?
Yeah. We're doomed.
I know. He still calls him Goldenrod, and stuff. That's the lovable stuff you got to keep, right?
Yeah.
I like that. So that's good. I was thinking for the next reading, looking at the chapters, we should go with 3 more chapters. That's still, it's no more, it's probably a little bit less than we read last time anyway, but that's a good chunk to keep us moving ahead. But also,
so 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Actually, I'm sorry, 4 chapters.
Oh, you want 10 too?
Yeah, through 10. So 7, 8, 9, and 10. That's about the same space there. Probably a little bit less, but it's another good chunk of the story and a good little digestible bite to actually delve into. So we'll read through the end of chapter 10 for next week.
Yeah, that's a good size chunk.
Yeah. And people read at all kind of different speeds. I know some people in the comments or chat, I forgot where last time, were saying like, dude, I've already read the first 2 books ever since you started this. Where are we going to go? I was like, yeah, I get it. Some people like to really, tear through, I know. But, most people got busy lives and whatnot. But even if you go ahead and you're reading other things, you can still always come back to this. I'm sure many people in the chat here read these books years ago and aren't necessarily rereading them before they join us, but they remember what happened and they can kind of, join us in our study or exploration of it, as we go here. So not trying to keep anybody from reading ahead, but
I read the required chapters.
I know I got to be sensitive to Al here, who will read what he's given and nothing more, right?
Yep.
And poor Fan Man, he was going to join us for these, but he, with his school and everything like that, he just can't. He's like, oh, I'm so behind. I'm like, you're not that behind. Take an hour or two to listen to the audiobook or something, and you can catch up. But we'll see.
Yeah.
What else is going on? So yeah, that's what we'll do for next week. We're going to read through chapter 10 and we'll come back to that. But these are fun. I really like these book studies ever since we started way back with The Hobbit. So was that no, The Hobbit wasn't the first one.
Yeah,
it was the first one. And then we did Something Wicked This Way Comes and Jekyll and Hyde. Yeah, these were a lot of fun. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the book studies are fun. Obviously, they're my forte as a literature professor, so and I don't have to grade anything, which is great.
It's getting me reading because I'm like I said, I'm more of the film TV watcher guy as opposed to the reader. It gets me reading something.
And I remember Al said, damn it, ever since you made me read it, now I watched the movie and I'm like, that is really crappy, the changes they made.
You ruined the movie.
One of us.
You ruined the movie for me. You okay, we're on the Professor Geek channel. You bastard.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I'm sorry things have been rough for you. Just caught that. Good to see you again, though. Yeah, so we'll come back again Thursday. Thursdays work well. Thursday at 11. That's our time period here, our time slot. So we'll come back with that. Troy, did you ever decide what you're rewatching this Saturday, or are you still? You did. What did you decide?
We are watching Highlander.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You said that in the office hour stream. I'm sorry, I forgot that. Yeah. So the rewatch is on Troy's channel. Al and Troy will definitely be there. We'll see if I can make it. Not sure. It's always up in the air,
Yes, because here we are, born to be kings. We are the princes of the universe.
Al gets his queen fix.
Ah, God, I love Queen.
Just 4 guys going at it, right?
4 guys going at it.
So that's and then Fan Man. I don't know if he's actually doing Fan Man tonight, tomorrow night, or not. We'll see what happens. I don't know for sure if I could make it either. We'll see.
I think he's planning on it, or he was,
but he never tells us for sure. It tells like an hour before it happens.
Yeah. You never really know until it actually happens.
So that might happen on Fan Man's channel. Troy's channel. I think, did I link? I don't know if I got everybody's links still underneath, but they are all linked in the office hours video.
And I had my little afternoon with Al today.
Yeah, how'd that go? I didn't see that you'd done it until after it was over, but how did it go?
It was nice. I had about like 10, 11 people, I think, throughout the usual suspects.
Yeah.
And it was a nice little chat. Of course, God, mentioned anime, and then suddenly, whoo! I got bombarded with tons of anime titles.
You should watch this one. You should watch this, and you should really watch this one.
Oh, this one. Okay, how about this one? Oh, yeah, this one. That's like Berserk, and this one and that one. I was like, oh, you should watch it. I'm like, oh, good God, hold on.
They just can't help themselves. It's so precious. What was it? Oh yeah, and I also cut out parts of the office hours discussion because we went for a long time the other night, and I published today just our discussion on the topic of fans and whether or not they actually want faithful adaptations or not. I also carved out to publish tomorrow, if I get around to it, the discussion we had on the Picard series, and then maybe one on the Birds of Prey stuff later too. So I'll post those too. Those little highlight videos.
Very cool. That's a nice little kind of reason instead of having someone have to go back and listen to like a couple hours of stuff.
Yeah.
Pop out a little 5-10 minute highlight.
Yeah, it's helpful for that. And then it also helps me keep recorded videos on the channel versus just live streams, which actually hurt the algorithm, to bring new viewers in. And I don't always have time to make new videos, during the week, especially right now with more school going on and stuff. So that's a perfect answer to that. So yeah, I'll put another one out there tomorrow. So Zach Change only says Al never ever asked for anime recommendations. I know.
Yeah, I know. I didn't actually. They just were thrust upon me.
Yeah, that's the way it usually goes.
I felt so violated.
Sound Engraver
so they slimed me. It's like they animated me.
They animated me. Sound Engraver said, "Man, you guys kept going the other night. I came back 2 hours later, and you were still going." I know, it was weird. It finally got to the end, like where I had to.
We're just 4 guys going at it.
Oh gosh, no. Towards the end, I was like in so much pain. I needed my next medication dose. And I was like, I gotta go. We finally ended it there, but it was fun. It was a good stream, and that's still up. Like I said, I'll be posting the highlights. But if you're a glutton for punishment, you can listen to all 3-4 hours or whatever it is.
Especially the candle talk. That was funny.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, your stupid ending to that. Even waiting for that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you have to go back and listen to the very end. Al's been sitting on that. He knew.
I was waiting for it. I was waiting for your last line for my little thing there. I was like, I know how I'm going to end this one.
Paladin Demo says, hope you read my comment about the Two Faithful. Oh, on that video. I haven't gotten to all of the comments yet. Yeah, that's one of the things I'm going to do is go back and read this tonight because you posted it today. Tim Media said he contributed to your anime madness, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot being thrown at me.
See, Echo's here using a little reverse psychology. Al, Berserk is trash. Don't watch it. Also, Akira sucks, but that one is nice to look at, so watch it. Or is that reverse psychology? Do you really hate Berserk? I don't know.
Hey, I've already got several things planned out. I got Sex Education Season 2 pops tomorrow.
Oh my gosh.
The third season of The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina had released their trailer today, and that comes out later this month.
Gosh, why do you do this to yourself?
I do it so you don't have to.
So look for the reviews to come there on Al's channel.
But Sex Education is actually a fun series. I enjoy that one.
I guess
I don't think you'd like it.
But, no, I don't think I'd like it either. But all right, Tom Spiegel, welcome, Tom Spiegel. I think I've seen you here a little bit. I'll be a new member, or at least I see you as a member now.
And released a new review yesterday on Big Al's Review of Rama.
That's right, the Ben Browder film.
Yeah, Hoax, which I liked it. It has its issues, but I enjoyed it. I had fun watching the thing.
Yeah.
And of course, my buddy Brian Thompson, who choked me. God bless him.
Yeah.
He's smiling throughout the whole thing. It's always fun to watch a film of someone you've met.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and call it a stream then. There, I need to get some work done tonight, some schoolwork and everything, and other stuff. But yeah, be thinking and let me know, because like I said, channel members, I'd like to know what the channel members want to do for the rewatch. Because I just said, okay, well, we'll rewatch My Hero Academia together because I love it so much. But I don't think the channel members, those who had actually become channel members at the time, were even all that interested in it. Maybe they were, maybe they're just gonna watch. I don't know. But I just want to give you guys the channel member content is for you guys. So if you guys would rather do a Clone Wars rewatch together or something like that, be thinking and letting me know. I'll put together the poll once I get some ideas and everything that are doable for me as well. And I'll probably start my KOTOR playthroughs or part 2 playthrough as a members stream too eventually at some point. I do have tomorrow to myself. That's one of the reasons why I want to get X amount of work done tonight, so I can just kind of veg tomorrow and have some fun. So more of those streams to come and everything like that. Saturday is rewatch. Friday, yeah. All right, we don't know. All right.
10 p.m. on Troy Pacelli's channel. This is Troy's week, and he chose Highlander.
Yep.
And I don't know if he's released the the graphic he created yet, but it's awesome.
Nice. Can't wait to see that. That's cool. Stephen Cruz, you know what we want to watch. It rhymes with Snow Girls. That's what you want to watch, Stephen Cruz.
Yeah, quite frankly, Snow Girl sounds like a cool film in and of itself.
Sound Engraver mentioned Dune. Yeah, we definitely are planning to do a Dune book study. We're going to kind of time it to where it's a little closer to the film's release, just to kind of capitalize on the buzz and everything like that. But yeah, that's definitely that's a beloved book of mine in particular. So we're definitely going to do a study of that.
Fear is the mind killer. Yeah, I'm trying to decide what next week's going to be my week. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to rewatch.
Yeah,
I think I might bow to chat desire and watch something.
Showgirls for Stephen Cruz.
Not yet. No, not yet. But I do have it, so it's always a possibility I can throw it out there.
There you go. So that's anything else you want to mention tonight before I sign off here, Al?
Nope.
No, okay. Echo just posted a link to Cat Planet Cuties. I'm sure that'll be some interesting viewing material for anybody who wants to click on that. But that's all we got then for tonight. Like I said, we'll be back for this week, and then of course Office Hours will happen again Tuesday. So up through chapter 10 for next week. Have fun reading it, and we'll see you guys next time. Until next time. Oh, that's right, I can do a sign off because this isn't the Catholic Bible Geek channel. Whew, sorry, mine's all over the place. Until next time, keep enjoying and digging deeper into the hero stories you love. Thanks for watching.
Cat Planet Cuties. I wonder how many pussies are on that.
Stop it!